Hello, 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 hello. Welcome to the first episode of The Rich Table. I am your host. I'm your host. I'm used to saying Pastor John, but just call me John for the night. I'm excited to share just a wonderful conversation on just the foundation and the fundamentals of finances. I got some amazing um, guys here tonight that are going to just share in on this conversation on just how we can just better our finances in our personal lives, the community, our businesses, and in every area of our lives. So, first, what we're going to do is I want you to like, I want you to share, I want you to do all the social media protocol, if you will. And we're going to get this conversation rolling, if you will. First, I'm going to introduce some good guys that are near and dear to me. First, we have my brother, my friend, Tyler Harmon. Then we have my another brother, another friend, brother Gene Dupuis, and I'm excited to have them on tonight. Let me first just say this is my birthday present to myself. This is my birthday present to myself because I believe that more than anything, that if we're going to be successful, if we're going to move forward as a society, as a community, not only do we need faith, but we need our finances. So I'm so excited about this conversation tonight. Just to give you a little background on why we're here. I grew up in a community that was very, very impoverished. Right. I can remember. I can remember the house that we grew up in had holes in the floor. I can remember the bathroom that we were in. You can see the ground in it. And we lived in that house until I was probably in the 10th grade, 10th or the 11th grade, something like that. I also remember my dad. Um, I also remember my dad working for a hospital. He was the director of the hospital, and you would think the director of the hospital is very, very prestigious, right? Um, my dad ended up going through this bout of cancer, right? And he was forced into early retirement. And in forced to early retirement, guess what? He never signed up to have a 401k. So in being forced to early retirement, he retired with nothing to show for it after giving a company 20 years of his life. So this is one of many reasons why I just really, really believe that it's important that we have these necessary conversations, especially on top of the fact that just my background, I've been in banking for over 15 years. I've watched many people grow in many different areas of their life, whether it's credit, whether it's just regular financial budgets and things of that nature. So I'm just excited to get into this conversation. So we're gonna get this kicked off. We're gonna get this conversation started. So we're going to introduce my brothers and my friends, and we're gonna take it away. One of you guys, you can get started. Introduce yourself. Tell us your background. Tell us how you got here.
There we go, Tyler.
Okay, cool, Gene. Yeah, thank you so much. First, let me first and just say thank you so much, Mr. John, just for your invitation. Thank you so much for your heart to see your community and those that are around you continue to elevate and rise. And so we definitely applaud you and all of the hard work that you and your family are doing to really help to strengthen our foundations, help to strengthen our expertise and help to broaden us. So I'm just super grateful for that. Yep, my name is Tyler Harmon. A little bit about me. I'm 28 years old. I reside here in the great city of Houston, Texas, but I am a proud native resident of the great state of Mississippi, particularly Columbus, Mississippi. And if you want to get even a little bit more micro, Crawford, Mississippi township of about 850. So I grew up in that. A little bit about me. I was raised by a single mom, who my parents divorced when I was 3 years old. So my mom really raised me. I've got great relationships with both of my parents, but my mom was present in the house with me, so I knew what that kind of was like, and I know what it means to be taken to basketball, football, baseball games. Traveling with baseball. I was a baseball player. I actually played a little collegiate too. So I know kind of how that goes, and I watch my mom work hard and really do that. And then, of course, just a little bit about me now. My wife is I'm married to the most amazing woman in the world, in my opinion. No shade on anybody, but there's nobody like the girl I got. Who is Miss Faith Denise Harmon. We've been married about 2 years now, 2.5 years now. She's gonna get me if I don't put that half there. So so we got married about 2.5 years ago. I met her in college when I was studying for my undergrad degree uh, in at Mississippi State University in financial management and business administration. Uh, Graduated straight out of college, went straight into consumer banking. Started as a retail banker, worked within 6 months, got elevated into a management role. So I was 19. Well, no, I was 22, 23 doing that. Then I actually got elevated there to be a regional branch manager for a large company there with Woodforge there. And then ultimately got recruited to do commercial banking. So I did commercial real estate for a smaller bank, but it was a larger bank out of Mississippi, here in the Houston metro area, where I was mentored by Leonard Hine and just some great people. God rest his soul. But I did that for a year and a half, and then all of a sudden another call came from our wealth management, as well as our wealth management division of U.S. Bank Corp, which everyone pretty much knows as U.S. Bank. And so now I am in collateralized loan obligations department there, where we handle a lot of personal private finance, private equity, which that's what we do, private credit. And so I do a lot with that. And on top of all of my responsibilities on church stuff as well. So I do quite a lot. So that's just the gist of what all I do. So yeah.
Come on, come on. That's
Mhm.
amazing. That's amazing. Brother Gene.
No, man. Sounds like we're gonna kind of come from all the same same boxes, if you would like to say, as far as like the
Yeah.
upbringing. I mean, not really having a lot, things like that. Remember the size of our house, like 1,000 square foot. That was it. Bare being house. And then you don't know any better whenever you're there. You're just happy, you're loving life, you're doing this, and this is what it is, right?
Yeah.
But it's funny you say that about your dad. Same thing. My dad medically retired whenever I was probably 2 or 3 years old, due to eyesight and whatnot. My mom was a beautician, so that was it. She'd leave before most of us would wake up and be home. Most times by the time we went to bed or such, and stuff. So yeah, I can definitely hear you on that part, and kind of chime in what we were talking about earlier. Just how that's crazy. Just how people come from that and don't have the opportunity to learn, or get the opportunities like you've had, Tyler. Like myself, I mean, I wouldn't be where I was at if I didn't see the opportunities and decide to say yes and just take that opportunity, just take that my faith and just jump in there and do it, and just, yeah, hopefully it's the right direction. But going with that, I, mean, I think it's a great thing you did this. I really appreciate you inviting me on this. I really can't add much more than Tyler said. You kind of took care of all of that there, but everything was really cool that you did this. So I'm really happy that you are surprised that you invited me as well. Be on the first one. I think it'd be really cool, and I think it's a really good thing you're doing for our community here. But yeah, no, fell into this about 22 years ago, and when I lived in the Houston area, I'm from Mid County. I moved to Houston after graduating high school. Lived out there for some time. Then I had to move back to take care of my father, who I mentioned a little while ago, after passing of my mom and sister. And so we made it back in this area, which is funny just how everything works out. This is where I ended up meeting my wife as well. I've been married since 2011 and I have a 12-year-old daughter now. And so, yeah, it all works out, right? So I've had our business here since then. and couldn't really ask for much more, man. Just really happy. And then, as we mentioned before, when we got on this call, what's crazy is like how long does it take you to go into that mindset of needing to make those decisions? And then you think about it, it's like, son of God, I should have done it a long time ago. Why didn't I think of this? Life, fun, making some money, coming from a background we did. Even a little bit of money, like, ooh, what are we gonna do? And just enjoying a little bit of the things you've never had. And then now you get to a point, you're like, okay, what should I have done then? But regardless of that, what should I do now? What should I learn from there? What should I move on? Who can I surround myself and learn these things coming from a certain upbringing or exposed to those things that we were in our childhood and whatnot? And how do you acquire that? By just being around the right people. And now you have platforms like this that can certainly help out in the long run.
For sure, for sure, for sure. I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, let's get this conversation started. We're gonna go into some deep conversation. So let's start by this. Let's start with this. What are the biggest mistakes that you see people make with their personal finances? Anybody?
I can just go ahead and say it. You know, a failure to plan is a plan to fail.
Yeah.
Which means to me, I think a statistic said over 50% of those in the United States of America live from paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
Which tells me that one or two things. Number one, our priorities are off. Mm-hmm. Or number two, we don't know. And so that's okay, right? But finances to me, the way I've always viewed it is a tool, a necessary tool to get me and to make sure that my family is in position beyond me, right? So when I weigh my priorities, I have to determine, is this something that is going to go beyond this moment? Will I get a return on my investment? So I think about that everything. I sign, when we talk about budgeting, everybody said, oh, you got to create a budget. Yeah, create you a budget, but also determine what type of budget you want to create. Because I've always been raised is name every dollar. My mom taught me, I don't know if you remember this, maybe you know about this, Gene, but my mom would tell me this all the time. She used to make me walk around with this little check register. Now I had a debit card. I wasn't even writing checks. And she would say, all right, you got $50. She was like, at the end of the night, when I would come home in high school, she would check my little check register. She would sit me down, make me call the bank, put in my information, and listen to the transactions that I had swiped my little debit card for, right? My little student credit card,
wow,
debit card. And if she couldn't reconcile what was on that little register, she would say, all right, you're being docked $10 the next week or $10 next month. What it taught me was assign every single penny. And so what you find out now in the age of subscriptions, if you were to do a real large macro and you look at what am I actually using, what am I actually spending my money on, you would be surprised by how much money you just throw away.
Or what I can do without that I am spending money on that I think I'm going to use.
Absolutely. Like it's and so it's getting people to be, I do think that there is people that want to position themselves to live life better, right? But that how to. Mm-hmm. And so it starts at the foundation. It starts with living off of less than what you make. Create a lifestyle for yourself that's manageable, right? I may not be in Louis Vuitton right now. I may just be in Zara mode, and I got to be okay with that. I may not can do Dillard's, but I can do H&M, right? Because it's so changing our perspective from being so consumer minded, right, to being more forward thinking. That foundation of just basic budgeting. Hey, I make this. These are my quote unquote bills. These are the things that I have to take care of. My necessities. These are my wants. My necessities always weigh out my wants. And so
Right.
when you plan like that, it gets you from more, you got to shift the mindset from being scarcity minded with being having a wealth building mindset. And that just starts with just practical discipline, pay your bills on time. Like, don't rob Peter to pay Paul. You know, because Paul, you know, Peter ain't got it either. So I think it just starts there.
It's funny that you say don't rob Peter to pay Paul. One of the things that I see just in banking is that there's so many different terminology for it. But in the credit union world, most credit unions call this term courtesy pay. Where courtesy pay is courtesy pay allows you to pay allows a purchase to go into the negative, but it's going to charge you a fee. It's going to charge you a fee each time. And I see people that come into my office week after week, sometimes month after month or year after year, and they live in courtesy pay. Like they rely on courtesy pay. Like they'll get their check, and the first thing they do is, oh, can I use that courtesy pay? Then some of them will have the audacity to even ask for those fees back.
Well, I think this was a gross extremes from where if Tyler's mom was everybody's mom, I think we're all being in different spot from what I'm saying. Okay, that's what I was going to throw out here right now. Right, I knew what that little ledger was because I was before debit cards, but so I had to write a check and go down to Market Basket on my bike and write a check to myself. All right, that's where I'm at in life, or where I was. Right, so you didn't have all that other stuff. So no, ledger, you're right. Pretty cool she did that. My mom didn't do it to me, but it was cool that she made you do that. You had the availability to do that part because the biggest thing between the two that I can say is that you had a real tangible dollar, and now you don't have a tangible dollar because you can have that people can say, "Oh, can you waive this? Can you not waive this?" Nobody. You can say you get to the point that you feel like I'm broke, but you're not that broke, right? Because you have that little extra give, but somebody's got a little safety net, so you really don't have to hit that. Well, hard times that we can throw into other things in life, right? Everybody has a different basement or whatever you want to say. But whenever you're talking about that, it's not real money, and put that on not the education from someone else. I think it's even easier now than it used to be because back whenever you had your ledger, you wrote it, bounced, you didn't get it, and then you couldn't come back because your check bounced. So everybody knew about it because your check's up there in the thing saying, "Don't take check from this fool." So you had that, right? So you had accountability. Ultimately, you had an accountability that you were there. And with that, how can you bring that into this age where it's so easy? And actually, how many times can you go somewhere that don't take cash now? They only take a debit or credit card. I was just thinking about this just the other week, not even doing about this. It was just driving down the road thinking about it. I was like, well, how people do this if you don't have a credit card or debit card, or just some people that say our grandparents or whatever that just don't believe in those things, or just not technology there. You can use somebody else's debit or credit card, but ultimately is to get you into signing up for that, the subscription, the things like this. They're betting on the fact you're going to forget about it. Now how to get in there, and you see it's like, oh snap, let me do it. Oh, it's going to be 30-day cancellation. You forget 30 days. And there's all different ways they do this to keep you in it. And it's just how not to get into it, how to pay attention to it. Like you said, a budget's just too easy to do now.
Yep.
Absolutely. Tyler, you mentioned earlier, well, you started this conversation by talking about paycheck to paycheck. What do you say to the people who desire to get out of this cycle? However, how can I put this? They desire to get out of this cycle, but they just feel like they just need a reset. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like they desire to get out of this cycle, but they just feel like they don't have enough income to break the mold to get out of the cycle.
Yeah, I'm scared of discipline.
Even though even though they have the discipline,
Yeah. Yeah.
they
I
don't
think,
have. They don't feel like they have. Go
yep.
ahead.
Yeah, I'll say this. I grew up, believe it or not, Gene, my dad was a huge, and still is. When we would drive around, I was listening to sports radio all the time in Mississippi. So, I love ESPN. That's what I would be driving and listening to at the night, like that's just what I did. But I also loved NPR. I loved listening to news radio. And there was this guy, which everybody knows him, Dave Ramsey, that was huge. He still is huge. Um, Great guy. Not everybody agrees with a lot of his methodology, but some of it is proven, right? And I never forget listening to a person that called in with that same question, John. They said, "Hey, I'm in debt. How do I get out of this?" And I remember watching Dave Ramsey be so harsh to this person. This person said, "You will never." He said, "First of all, how much debt you're in?" They told him the amount of debt. All right, for the next year and a half, you're not going to see the inside of a restaurant unless you are going to deliver food for that restaurant. You will not. You will eat off the bare minimum. And here's the shortest answer. Whenever you're dealing with an issue where you're in an insurmountable hole, two things you've got to do. First, I would implore them, all right, is there any plausible way to raise my level of revenue? So
Correct.
when I go into it, I have to go to war against this debt. This is the thing that is standing between me and financial peace. This is the thing that is standing between me and security. Anything in between me and that place that I'm trying to get to, it is my number one enemy. And
Yeah.
so when it's sitting there, I have to then have a strategy on how I'm going to attack this. Now, that first starts with an overall assessment of your finances, right?
Yeah.
So, to Gene's point about having the discipline, you generate a plan based upon accurate information. I have to lay out what is coming in, what is going out. Then I have to identify, is this necessary for me to live? I have to have lights. I have to have food. So maybe, hey, I've got an extra card that I'm having to pay a note on. Maybe that's me getting off of this car, or maybe me trying to restructure this debt in some type of way that makes it easier on me on the long run. Because you'll be surprised what it looks like shopping a rate around. You bought that car in 2021. You got pretty good credit now, and let's just say you go to a credit union, right? Have you shopped rates? Have you tried to refinance? Have you looked at different avenues? Like if I've got a home and my home value is good, it's continuing to decline. Those are things that you can do just through researching, right? Just thinking outside of the box, not just looking at my check, not just looking at my bills, but I'm thinking through what assets do I have now and how can I position those assets or unload those assets to clear some stuff, right? So that's the first step. I have to identify, then I've got to attack. So then I've got to devise a plan on, this is what I want. I got to set a timeline. This is where I'm going. This is the amount of time I've got to get there. This is what I'm going. These are the hard things I have to do it. Because like Gene said, that discipline part comes in when I have to be willing to suffer now for for that pleasure later. So that
Priority. That's it.
it's
Discipline.
it.
And is it a priority? If it's
Is it a
not a
priority?
priority, are you to that point to where you're at the bottom that isn't going to be a priority so you can make all these decisions? Because until somebody's there, they're not going to make those long-term priority, not long-term decisions, not just a short-term. You might come up with that game plan now, but it's whenever it's 3 weeks from now, 4 weeks from now, you're like, man, I really want some Chick-fil-A or something
Right.
like that, right? And then like get sick with it. I mean, that's it. I mean,
Yep.
you have to be able to make that, and that's the hardest thing I think for people to do just anywhere in life is making that
Mhm.
priority and keeping that long-term goal. And it's really cool to hear what you said, Tyler, whenever you mentioned earlier, was you make a decision based on what is this going to do for me, my family's longevity, for income, wealth, or just again priority. Let's go back to that. It's still the word priority. Is what is it going to do? Is it worth my time to do this versus this? And it's just getting into that mindset. Something has to click somewhere for it to be your main train of thought every day you wake up to do something.
Yep.
And I also think, just to piggyback off of both of you, I also think it just goes back to your original point, Tyler. We got to be able to plan, because with your point, Gene, in prioritizing, oftentimes priority go out the window when convenience comes in the picture.
That's right.
Our baby wants some shoes, our mama wants a handbag, or whatever you feel like that feelings over facts. My wife's gonna hate if she sees this. The feelings over facts to play. Which one are you gonna do? You want to feel good right now, but the fact is gonna be broke later. I mean, which one we're gonna do?
Because check this out. If I didn't plan out my meal for the day, and I'm passing Chick-fil-A,
It sounds real good about now, huh?
I'm about to pay $15.
When I could have took that $15, went to the store, got a pack of chicken breasts that cost me maybe $5.
Absolutely.
Got me some veggies, and now I'm eating off of that 2-3 days as opposed to
a few days.
And it's still better for you.
Absolutely.
And how much time did you save? How much time did everything else you've already have? Exactly it. But it also comes back with the family. I mean, it's not just you yourself. I mean, if you have a family, it's one thing to say you as a single person, male or female, that's out there, or just a single individual as a whole. It's one thing to do that by yourself, right? Or also mess it up by yourself. But then having a family to try to get that on board, I think it's something you definitely have to instill early on, even before you have kids, before you have this. What's going to be? What we're going to expect? This is how we're going to do this. How we're going to do this together. If not, you can get yourself in a pretty big hole, as you said, by just carelessly doing this $15, $20, $30 here or there. I mean, shoot, it's hard to go eat dinner from 4 people for less than $75 sometimes. And I'm not kidding. I mean, as soon as you order a tea, an extra tea, whatever the case would be, maybe a little bite before you start to bite. I mean, it racks up pretty darn quick.
Yep.
The day I proposed, I spent $300 on food.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Like, and one thing I tell you,
and she still likes you any which way.
Yeah. Gene, I'm gonna tell you, man. My wife. This is to your point, man, because I think he brought up something tremendous that I don't want us to miss in this, where he talked about when you're dealing with a family dynamic, how important it is for whether or not it's you and your wife, you and your kids, to understand that this is a team effort. That this is not a solo act. This is not dad that's just trying to put down the law and say we're not going to do. No. How can two walk together unless they agree?
Yeah.
So if we've got a destination, and we're going that way, we've got to have corporate buy-in that says we got one mission. And we've got to agree on the majors. You can maybe disagree on the minors, what may be quote unquote. So like for my wife, I'm blessed because my wife is she does come from a very frugal background, but she comes from a great household that's financially sound, has done that. Mom worked her way up in nursing and nursing administration, hospital administration. So she comes from a great background, right? But I'm going to tell you, her mindset on, she will be quick to put something back. If it doesn't even, I'll be like, with my wife, be like, hey, babe, you should get that. No, this is too much. I said, too much? We spend that on. No, I just don't think we should do it. Or, it's like for her, she's very, very feminist. So she goes out there and she does the nails, she does that. But when I tell you that girl, she will do her own hair. She will do her own nails and still look bad, right? But she recognizes, hey, we're young right now. We're in our 20s. We don't have any kids, but we're going to have some children very soon. So we got to.
But to go with that, though, like I remember always something my mom talking about, bringing up how you brought it up and bring up the family dynamic with that, because I still repeat this. My wife, Brandy, probably going to roll her eyes at me too. She's like, Gene, I heard this 1,000 times. But yeah, growing up, friends always lived on like the other side of town, right? And I was like, wow, we live on that side. So you get to that age, right? You go to your friend's house all the time. You're like, wow, they got a lot of space. We don't. Anyway, so then you go over there, and you're like, this would be pretty cool. And then mom coming back saying, well, you like all the stuff we do, right? You like traveling we do. So a lot of families from Mississippi. It's funny stuff you say that. So we go there every year, family reunions a couple of times, sometimes a couple of times a year. And that was it. Like they were traveling camper, whatever. And that's what we did a lot. But she was like, do you want to be over there? You want to do the things we do? I'm like, nah, we kind of like doing what we do. We good.
Right.
So, but again, it's bringing that up. And I guess I don't know what age I was or which I would remember because I talked to my daughter about it. But no, what time it was that would bring that up to have that, hey, we're on this together. Yeah, we're here. We're there. If it is lower income, what are we doing to make the best of life? And what are we doing also to make sure we're going to be somewhere? What things are we doing? Like you mentioned earlier, John, about getting your life license, things like that, doing these different tools that are out there that would help out your family if something bad happens, right? So I'm going fast forward big time, sorry. But those are different things to look at as a family dynamic. What do we need to do to pay this extra $30, $50, $100 a month to help out the family dynamic, whether something bad happens to the family? Because you can't just look all glitz and glamour, grow, grow, grow. How are you going to protect yourself as well?
That's it. So good.
I think one of the things that when it comes to our finances and just in life in general, and I think this is a good just life principle, is that we always have to regroup and evaluate. We always have to regroup and evaluate. One of the things that you mentioned, Tyler, earlier is you were talking about shopping around with rates, right? I had a lady come in my office maybe about a month ago. And there's this company, I won't say it on here because I ain't trying to get in trouble. But there's this company that if you want to be vehicle, they'll finance anybody. I'm just saying, they'll finance anybody. They name start with an S, so they'll finance anyone. Her interest rate was like 18%. Yes. She came into my office. I was able to get her down to 4.25.
Oh, wow. Wow.
This ended up saving this lady like $12,000 in the long run.
She was paying $12,000 more for a car than she should have.
That was probably already out of budget to begin with, even at the 4 sometimes.
Absolutely.
I'm going to drop this quote. I'm going to just drop it. If you're paying high interest, you're making somebody else rich, and it ain't you. Right?
1,000%.
It's just not. And one of the things I think people
math just don't math any other way.
It just doesn't math anyway. Like when I think about credit, here's the truth. I think credit is a tool, not a trophy. Yeah. I look at it and go, and I know we're gonna get into this, Gene. You know, because I'm a huge.
We getting into it right now. Some people believe that they deserve good credit,
and I'm like, people don't know. Like, credit basically tells a lender, how good of a person. Because we can say, "Oh, I'm a great person." Well, according to your credit report, you don't pay your bills on time, so that tells me that you got bad discipline,
other priorities,
or you've got bad priorities. And so, just because you get approved for something doesn't mean that it's actually in your best interest to sign that high interest. Right. Like you got people that are paying 30% on furniture, on furniture.
Oh, hey, you're checking out. Do you want a Walmart card? You want to save 10% today? No, I don't want to save 10% today because they're going to get 28% to it from the next 2, 3, 4, 15, 25 months. Yeah, they're going to win. They didn't give you that 10% because they loved you today.
And so people think, because even when I talk about like building credit, man, it's really about building sustainability, because credit now just tells a creditor, hey, I have done this work. Because there is, Gene, we know this. There's good debt and there's bad debt. Their debt, knowing how the way your credit report is even laid out, how your credit report accrues. Like, understanding the factors in, understanding that on-time payments do affect you, right?
Okay.
You know, do you carry an outstanding balance toward the next month? How do you pay? So many people think that, okay, let's just say I've got a $7,000 limit, and I'm just going to charge that thing all the way up to the top, but I don't have any other way of paying this. So then people get into the hole, and they've got,
Yeah.
I got approved for 3,000 on this card. So once I max that out, I'm gonna pay that off with that. That's robbing Peter to pay Paul. And then you're looking up and you're in default. And
Yeah.
so it goes to, like Gene was saying, like, your priorities have got to be explicit, and you have to hold on to them. And so I look at it, even when you're shopping finances, as far as like a car. I never forget when I bought my first car. I walked in and my mom was like, "Okay, this is what." I said, "No. I've done my research. This is the actual MSRP on this vehicle. This is what I know that they stand to make from this. They're gonna try to throw me a lot of extras in there. Oh, we can do da. No, I don't need that. It's not necessary for me to do that. Then I'm gonna position myself. I'm gonna go ahead and just get pre-approved because I've got a working financial relationship with my credit union for 4 or 5 years. So before I've even gone to the dealership, my credit has already been ran. They've already written me a check for whatever vehicle I need. So when I go in with the information and the leverage. I'm not moved by the oohs and the wows, because here's what I'm looking at. This is not going to be my only vehicle. This may be my phase one vehicle. It's going to be reliable, point A to point B. I'm going to pay this bad boy off, or I'm going to either work with this, or I'm going to, there's so many different avenues. You could do a lease agreement depending on how much you drive the vehicle, right? If you don't even want to go to a quote unquote traditional lending where you have a 48 to 60 month term, just depends on what you want to do. But for me, go ahead, John.
Talk about the term,
Man,
because so many people are trying to do these 84-month terms.
makes no sense.
Am I the only one to see those things on Instagram? I was like, hold on, let me do. I don't know if I got the right calculator to do that math. Hold on, somebody.
When I'm gonna tell you, when I've gone,
Like,
this is practical. When I've gone car shopping, the very first thing that they try to throw out is, where do you want your monthly payments to be?
Yeah, that's
and I'm looking at them going, no, I've already calculated what this should be. I'm not necessarily concerned about the how much I'm paying a month. I'm mostly concerned about what is going to be what I'm going to sign my name to as my total debt number. That's what I want to know.
Well, then they play the find the queen thing too, because as soon as you got a trade in on top of that, now they're going to try to pad the difference between the two on there. Now you're really talking about a tricky situation on top of all the stuff. You're talking about buying this, that, and the other. But I agree with you 110%. If anybody has any takeaway from this, and I say this to people all the time, the only time you would give the dealership the opportunity to run your credit is if you know what your score is, legit score, not a Credit Karma score. Oh, that's a whole nother part 2, part 3 of the situation.
Right.
But let's just talk about, do you know what they're, because again, I do mortgages, so we do about this all week. So the best I can not to jump in on so far. But the credit cards, installments, the balances, the credit unions, all this stuff is stuff I talk 4, 5, 10 times a week about, and it's so crucial, and it's the same every time. That's the thing, is that whenever you go to buy a car, right? That's it. Credit union normally is going to give you a better rate than most anybody out there. Every once in a while, maybe a Capital One, something like that, if you do some research. But if you already know where you're starting off, then you already know what your score requirement is, things like that. There's no reason to pull additional credit. There's no reason to do the rest of this. You see what it is, and they're going to have in the fine print. This is with this credit score, this vehicle price, this much down payment. Same thing for mortgages. You need to read all these parameters, not just that big rate they throw up there.
Yep.
But whenever you know that, then you know, say Chevy, Ford, whoever the case may be, you in the Benz category, whatever, you know who is running options or special financing, 0%, things like that. But at least you already have your QA approval that's through the system. They can go pull even on a Saturday, Sunday, maybe Sunday if they're open. But Saturday, they at least go in there and pull it. And you can do your full financing then and not be in a position to have to be forced to go through a dealership, which most won't listen to you, and they're just going to farm it out. Because to your point, you said you wanted a payment, so they're going to figure out who they can get the interest from, how much interest they can tack onto it to get what they can get, to make more on the back end to deliver you with that payment to make you happy because you wanted a payment. Now they know the secret to it, as opposed, like you said, this one want to pay for it. I can do the math. Here's what it is. I just need to know what you're going to sell me that car for. If not, I need to find someone to sell me that car. But to go with that, the bigger thing is, I think in the very beginning, sorry, it's going to be slightly lengthy, but I want to hit. You made a lot of good points. Just want to elaborate on some of them. The worst thing to do is go and get installment loan. That's it. The worst thing ever. If you want to build credit, the worst thing to do is do installment loan. As soon as you pay off that thing, you back to zero. You back to square one, and then you have to do this over again. The best thing to get is credit cards. Oh, but Gene, my family's always said credit cards are horrible. You're right, because of discipline, because of things like that. That's the reason why your credit gets helped out by so much, because you have that range or whatever, or limit technically, but want to find a good analogy, didn't figure out one real quick. But the fact is you have enough credit line out there to not abuse, and that's the reason why you go over 30, 50, 75, over 100% of the balance is going to bring down your scores incrementally. But getting 2 credit cards at $300 a pop is going to affect your scores the same as a $10,000 credit card, because it's about percentage, not limit.
Yep.
Limit to get other credit cards, but you don't need that other credit card until you get the discipline. So that's the reason why you have to show $1,000, a $6,000, $10,000 credit card before you can start getting up into the platinum and things like that. But those are the best things to do, because as long as you set up an auto draft, it keeps getting paid every month. If there's no balance on it, there ain't nothing coming out of your bank account because there's nothing to pay. But at least it stays on time, keeps your balances low. Use it to charge a tank of gas or something once every 6 months or so.
Yes.
Or if you're even more disciplined to do it and you want to use it for the points and things like that, you need to find out when that report date is, not the due date, the report date.
Yes, sir.
Because only one, I believe, is Capital One. Capital One, I think, is the one that comes to mind that does report theirs about the due date. But most everybody else, say credit unions, things like that, we're real heavy credit unions area too, right? That a lot of those will run their tape. They'll run everything one particular day, the 11th, right, of a month. They'll report everything. Well, usually my due date's the 15th. I paid it on the 14th. What? Now it's going to show that higher balance. But as long as you get that under wraps, then everything else will be fine. You can get the points. You can do this. You can do those different things. But at least you're still building credit. And by you having the open line, you're not in debt. And you can still build your credit. That's the big thing. You can have a zero balance and not be in debt, not have a monthly obligation. So it's the best tool out of all of them.
Totally
and easiest to get.
Totally agree, Gene. Great points, man. I think you gave some sound wisdom. Like, I love the practicality of it too, because people don't know that. Like you'd just be surprised. Some people do not know how to distinguish between the report date and the due date.
They don't. I didn't either. Other than being in this for so long and seeing a lot of credit reports, running credit scenarios, having a credit company early 2000s as well. A bunch of different things have acquired this. And what's funny is it didn't come from family members. It didn't come through people. It didn't come through community. It didn't come through places like that because there wasn't a place to bring that up. Do they teach how to balance a checkbook in school right now? Maybe now. I know they didn't do it then, right? The practical things that are truly there, right?
Yeah.
And you don't know that until you have that, and that's what's good about outlets like this. So good job, John.
What are some myths that about credit that you hear all the time that people need to stop believing?
I think James hit it on the nail on the head that, I don't believe it. That credit isn't no good. You shouldn't do it. No. Credit in the hands of an undisciplined person is like putting a chainsaw in the hands of a toddler.
Yeah.
It's bound to hurt you.
Quit.
It's a terrible thing. You know, the thing about it is too, like Gene said, one of the things I think I mentioned it too, that credit is a tool, not a trophy.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning
Absolutely.
that which is why he said you go progressive, right? So you start with that little $300 balance that you've got a threshold there, you've got a limit there. I'm using that for quote unquote getting gas, right? But I'm paying that. I've got it on auto draft. I take care of it. That's how the way my grandparents taught me credit. This is gonna be your gas. This card. You get gas from it. That's it, right? And it automatically paid whatever I earn. Took care of that because it's just basically showing a consistent system. And so I think that's a big one right there where you've got one, like that's where I divide with Brother Dave Ramsey, because he's like, oh, all debt is bad debt. No debt, no debt. I'm like, debt used right can actually leverage you well, right? So
Absolutely.
I believe I'm a personal believer of that. I've got a grandparent who anything she hear about credit for many years would not move on it. But now, she's like, oh yeah, so I can utilize my points to do this. Yeah, I can do an airline. Yeah, Granny. Yeah, we can do da 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 da. And she was like, oh my God, and they're, God has blessed them. They have a great financial portfolio. So I think that's a big one that I hear a lot, where so many people get so much negative connotation to credit that they don't position themselves. Because how can you go to Gene and say, hey, I want to buy me a house, but I have not established any type of credit history, right? I don't.
For sure.
I've been living off debit card, and I don't have any credit history outside of one, maybe a Klarna or 4 payment system. Like that's not really.
And those don't report on credit.
They don't.
The only thing they do, they show up on a bank statement. Then we're like, oh, what's this? We got to figure out the debt to income, but they don't show up on credit. Even though they do a little bit of a background check on there, which go ahead, because I got one that's a bit.
I like what you just said. You just mentioned debt to income, because this brings me to a myth. One of the things that I run into on the consumer loan side is that there are a lot of people who just feel like, oh, because I pay my loans, I should just be able to get approved.
Because my bank said I could.
Because
they're using different math than I have to use on my side.
Right.
Because I paid my loans in the past, I should. Y'all see, I done paid my loans in the past.
Forget about these I didn't pay.
I should be able to get a loan.
Automatic off rip.
I've had that conversation too. Well, my bank gave me a $70,000 vehicle loan or $100,000 vehicle loan. Unfortunately, actually, this is a true thing. Happened the other day. Trying to buy another house. Like, unfortunately, your wife makes all the money, and you don't make a lot because you only worked 6 months last year. It's not going to work out.
Your debt to income is 75%.
Gene, let me ask you this, man. Let's talk a little bit about the underwriting.
Sure, 100%.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, like, even because I think this gets over in the underwriting, right? So,
yeah, man, we got so many things firing off in my head right now.
You already know. So, like, for some people, right, when they're looking at it and like they don't necessarily know the process that it takes. Number one, let's just say this. I believe one of the greatest financial investments you can ever make is not necessarily in a car. It's not necessarily in one of the greatest investment tools, in my estimation, is a home.
Yeah, because if you're investing in a car for appreciation, you're not watching this show.
When you drive off the lot,
That's a whole different money ball game. You start getting investments in cars. I mean, those things have been around. You're looking at those. So you're right. It's houses. It's attainable things. So okay, let's talk about two myths real quick. So I mentioned one. We'll bring it back to what you just said. One is, medical bills don't do nothing. I know they passed a law. They're trying to get all that rectified and everything. But you don't pay that thing, it's going to show up. Just like if you have a collection from anybody else, you got a collection for an apartment complex, you got a collection for anybody, you need to make a payment agreement with them, whatever it is, it's financial based, whatever based, $50 a month, something. As long as you're paying them something they can't report. But as soon as you say it's not mine, forget them, I'm not going to do anything with it, and then it starts reporting, well, now it's going to bring down your scores. Even if you pay it, it won't come off. Even if you pay it and it doesn't come off, you don't get a deletion letter, it's going to take 7 years for that thing to fall off. And so it runs into another myth. Oh, I paid on it. It should be now. No, it's not. You can request a deletion letter, and that'll get taken off. But going to the second one is talking about homes real quick. Oh, I need 20% put down on a house. No, or I need 10. So a lot of local establishments will require 10% down for a home purchase because they don't do FHA, USDA, DPA programs. But we can do 0, 3, 5% down payments, 3.5% down payments, 0% down for USDA in some areas, or we even have DPA programs for the individuals that qualify for that, based on lower income and higher income. Actually, there's some that actually don't have an income limit. So there's options for all that. So you don't need to save all that up. You don't need to do that part. Or the family members that bought a house 10, 15, 20 years ago, a lot of the guidelines have changed with that too. Some have relaxed, some's got a little bit more, but they're not the same. So going back to your point that things have changed around, you need to find out. And again, don't believe everything you Google. I mean, come on. Even I try to find the answer I know to find. I can't find it on Google. So I'm like, I know the name, right? It changed last month. So I'm freshly trying to Google to show it to you and I can't find it. What's saying that you're going to do, right? So, because a lot of times I'll try to do that to do a fact things. Like, not that you doubt me. I'm one of those people. So everybody doubts me. So I'm like, here it is, bam. Or it's in black and white. Here it is. Here's where it's written at. You can't find that. And so that's where it misleads a lot of individuals that call us at that time that wants to make one of the biggest purchases in their life. When they're talking about a large dollar amount, regardless of your financial situation, to get in the right decision. And if you didn't have that guidance beforehand for credit, saving money, all those are very important things that have to be done by the time you get to me. If not, we'll have the conversation and we'll set a timeline. A year, 2 years from now, 6 months, 2 weeks, who knows?
Yeah. So good.
Sorry, a lot.
I love it.
That was a lot.
No. I think you answered. But you know what I heard there, Gene? John, I'm sorry, Gene, you're dropping so much wisdom. You know what I think it really communicates to me is the need for leaning toward the expertise of a professional.
No, for sure.
Which is why I think it's so important that they reach out to you. And, hey, I'm going to say anybody that's watching this and you're thinking about home ownership, I'm telling you, Gene is the guy. You need to reach out to him. John, he's going to drop the information there because you need guidance. And you need a person that can tell you, hey, this is how the way I think you can position yourself. That's going to not only keep you from making dumb mistakes, but they're going to have the working knowledge to tell you, hey, I need you to understand this. I'm going to ask you, what do you want to see here? Well, what is your budget? What do you tell me when I'm looking through your personal finances? This is what I'm saying you're bringing in, right? This is how much house you want. I know you may not want to hear this, but this is probably where you need to start, right? My mom.
Hardest conversation. Somebody, I want $400,000 house. I want to pay $2,300 a month. Well, those two things don't matter.
They don't matter. They don't matter. And my mom always told me this. She said, man, your first house is not the house that you marry. Date it. Let that be the bad boy. Let that be the first one that gets you, because the equity that you make in that home, that may mean, hey, I may have to go into not necessarily the greatest neighborhood. Notice what Gene said. Does it make facts or feelings? My feelings feel like I should be in a gated community the very first thing I get out of college, right? But I may have to go to the hood a little bit. I may have to, but here's the thing. If I do my research, hey, I know that the city is pouring in a lot of resources and infrastructure here. These are the things that are coming. This is the medium income. The medium income is rising in this. Property value is increasing here. So let me get in while it's low now, right?
Build on grandmama property.
Build on grandmama's property and then sit on that bad boy. Let it appreciate. Let that equity grow. Then now I'm in a position 4 or 5 years down the line where that either I've invested in the home or I've taken out a HELOC or I've done something that has increased the value of that home. Absolutely. So when I get ready to put it on the market, man, I'm sitting in very good shape.
Well, to add with that and actually kind of throw another little bone out there. So like you're talking about going there, finding the area, finding what area am I in? Where am I going to be at? Is it the area that you want to be at? No, but again, we've all been around enough to know it's only going to go so far. It comes back in certain areas, get revitalization. regardless of it's new businesses, new whatever, commutes too far, something like that. We talk about where you live, Cypress versus downtown. Like, so really, you only go out so far, right? And then
Right.
you got to kind of reel that thing back in. I mean, like Ito out there, that's been the biggest one coming up, and it's doing really well. But same thing, like in our area, there's some areas that are coming back in. It's just going to take a while. It's going to take a while for those individuals to get to that age, unfortunately, that where they're going to get at, the baby boomers, things like that, because we're starting to buy their houses, right? I know people in our area, we're starting to buy the houses that our friends' parents had back then, right? And that's where it is, and you have to wait for that cycle to happen. But like you said, it's not going to happen overnight. But also, if you're the last one and you see that thing's booming, well, you missed it. So it's time to move on, which is something else that I remember a buddy of mine mentioned one time about everybody getting into our industry, right? Real estate, mortgage, insurance, whatever, home inspection. Like, as soon as you see an industry that everybody starts going towards, well, you missed it. It's probably going to hit the bubble and probably going to go down because everybody's in it and they just found out about it. And we're looking at that with all the other different type of industries that's coming around too. So it's not just that, it's also careers that you have to look at. Just everybody's talking about it now. It's probably not going to be the thing in 10, 15 years.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So one of the things that I've been approached with over the last, 5 months or so is, if you don't know, I'll share it with you. Me being the pastor of Top Church here in Beaumont, we have been blessed to pay off our building this year. And we've been blessed to pay off our building this year. And we did it in a very, very fast way. Very fast. We did it in 7 years. And so many people have asked, well, how did you do that so quickly? Because the truth is, early on in the picture, I actually wanted to quit. Early on in the picture, I was like, this is a big mountain. I don't want to do this. There was some growing pains, all of the stuff, right? I could share that testimony later. But one of the things that when I really sat back and I really thought about what we did to accomplish the things that we accomplished in paying off the building, we just simply applied biblical financial principles. I think that it's a lot, I don't want to say art, but it is one of the things that will never go away. Biblical principles will never go away. So when I say that we applied biblical principles, one of the things that we did was, of course, we applied natural principles. One of the things that we did was we paid toward the principal all the time. We paid toward the principal all the time. That's what we did. Because I'm a financial person, I have the wisdom to do that. But not only did we do that, we gave to the poor. We gave towards organizations. We gave towards ministries. We constantly gave, even when sometimes I was like, should we give or should we not give? But we were very, very obedient to what the Lord was telling us to do in that particular time. And because of that, we ended up light years ahead of schedule.
Yep.
So in saying all of that, how has faith shaped your approach to money and wealth? Anybody?
Yeah, I'll say for me, kind of going back, man, I really owe a lot of my life to my mom. I get emotional thinking about it, to my mom and my dad. My parents, my dad has been a pastor. He's an elder in the Lord's church. I mean, my mom has always been active in the church, serving and doing all those things. I was practically raised and born on the front pew, right? So I've been in church, been in ministry since I was about 8 years old when I accepted my calling to ministry. And so the foundation has always been for me is this: None of this that I have. It's all his.
Right. For sure.
And when I look at it from that perspective, um, tithing, which we know biblically, the tithe, how the way we teach it, is 10% of your sanctified gross income. I like to say, right? So it is it. It's the tenth. It's and the reason, here's what I recognize with it. Some people that try to, may have different theological lenses on that. And I love having that dialogue. Is the tithe necessary? Do I necessarily subscribe to the saying that if you don't give 10%, you're cursed? I do not. That's just my personal. Based upon how the way I view the scripture, I just don't believe that scripture is really communicating that in that sentiment. I believe that God used the tithe to teach us I say it like this, and Apostle Matthews, my leader, says it like this: the tithe is the tutor. The tithe is really designed at all this you raise 100%. Don't touch this 10. Adam gets in the garden. He says, listen, you can eat all of this. Just don't eat of this tree. What is he trying to teach us? He's trying to teach us, if you don't have discipline and you don't put your feelings to death, your feelings will cause you death. And so the tithe to me teaches me, if I don't touch the 10th, I won't. When it comes to, let's just say, a real life situation, I'm not touching that 10%. I'm not touching my rent money or my mortgage money for shoe money, because I've have a line of demarcation on it. And I just believe this. I just believe that God honors it. So when I deal with biblical principles, doing unto others that we would have them do, looking out for the needy, giving to the poor, those are things that I think have eternal significance. And I'll say this, and I'll throw it to Gene here. One of the things that our churches, and I'm proud of the church that I'm a part of, we feed every second and fourth Saturday, and we have had a consistent food bank in a partnership with Houston Food Bank. But we feed 200 to 300 families every Saturday, every second and fourth Saturday. And we have done that over the last 5 years consistently.
Yeah.
In an impoverished area in Greenspoint, meeting tangible. I mean, John, you know this. Line is wrapped around the building, right?
Yeah.
Some of those people may never darken the doors of our church. They may never come to a service. But here's the thing: that is just as vital as the message that's being preached on Sunday morning. Because if we can meet natural needs, right? So I look at it as that when it comes to even my personal finance. I'm like, Lord, you have blessed me with great salary. You have blessed me with great things in my life. I have no want. I have some wants, but you have supplied every need. And so to me, when I look at that, we live by that. And I can say personally that my vases and my jars have been overflowing in every area. I mean, the favor that I get in client meetings, people want to know, well, how did you land that client, or how did you restructure that deal? And I can honestly tell them, yeah, I may have had some work, but let me tell you, it was God's super on my natural. Because if it was up to my natural, that wouldn't have got done. So there are just things, there are intangibles that you just learn, man. And my biggest thing is, if you feel like, oh, well, I don't know what that church is going to do with that money, man, let me tell you something. There are some places of worship, like Pastor John here. Jane, I know you know him, that are actually out there doing the work. That's not out there scheming people. That's not abusing people. They're not buying whatever jets or whatever for, off the backs of people. No, they actually, a lot of churches need resources to really do the impact in the ministry that they actually want to do for their communities. And so I just want to just say that, because a lot of churches get a bad rap unfairly in some cases, and some rightfully so. But
Agreed. Agree. If you can't name the people in your community, then are you doing what you're supposed to be doing? They're doing.
Yep.
That's it. I mean, I do feel that is too big to where is it really being productive for all parties? Is everybody getting it out of what they want to? Or are they just being part of something bigger and they feel that they're because they're part of that and that's it? Ooh, that's going to go along slippery slope today. But the thing is I'm pretty much the same bus with you. I kid you not. I mean, tithing, yes, you're going to do that. Support what supports you there. Support your congregation. Support what you're going to go to every week to have that. Because without that, you won't have that. But I don't disagree with the fact is don't. I mean, I was going to say another analogy was thrown out more than one time, but it's basically feeling fiscally responsible. It's just going to put me in a hole. Am I going to now need that I just gave you? I think it's both sides. It's being a little responsible to it, but just like you said before, is discipline. I mean, that's what it is. It's there. This is any other teachings that we go by, anything else we read about. It's all about how's this going to improve my life? How's it going to improve my life being in a social atmosphere, being with the people in my community, however that comes about. But I do agree with you as well, Tyler, and love that about my daughter, especially, is that she is about doing the one-on-one thing, the time, because what's the most precious thing you have? Your time.
Yep.
Money's money, but your time's your time. Some people's time's worth a little bit more whenever it comes to Benjamin Franklin than others do. But the fact is time, and that's the biggest commodity that you have. And what are you going to do to put that towards to help out other individuals and so forth? And I think that definitely way more than the tithing. But of course, it is important. If you don't have that, you won't have the congregation you're there. So I'm not reiterating that. But I agree with you on that.
And just to pick off Gene's point, man, one thing that our lead pastor, really said to our church Wednesday night when we were just talking through some things that we want to do to kind of, improve what we do, be able to minister to more people. He said this, he said, I will never ask you to hurt your family.
Yeah.
That is your number one priority.
For sure.
You honor God by making sure that those babies that go to sleep at night have everything that they need. And so I believe that, for some people who feel the guilt of, or, number one, don't feel, I tell anybody, man, anytime I do like an offering appeal or anything at church, man, don't come under condemnation. Hey, if there's no, like, God knows, right? He will give seed to the sower. And he will give bread to, he will give that. So, whenever I believe this, man, I believe that we should never give out of compulsion or never out of manipulation or out of, if you don't do this, God ain't gonna do that. No, I get to give. I love to give. I love to sow. And nobody got to hold a gun to my head, right? Because if you hold a gun to my head, then that's going to end bad for you.
Tyler, man, I love that you said that because there are so many people that feel like they can't afford to tithe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They feel like they
But
can't
that's why we're there together. I mean, that's it. We're not there because you can or can't. If you can, you do.
Yep. And it's I never forget. This is a personal testimony, man. I remember being in the situation because I had a mindset that I was like, Lord, I'm looking at. So I never forget. I had just moved to Houston. I had gotten into a wreck, and this was during COVID. So Gene, I had just bought this car, 2021. I moved to Houston. I'm not even in Houston 4 weeks, and somebody runs into the back of me while I'm headed to the barbershop. They almost totaled my car, but they say because of Toyota had a clause that said that, we're not going to total out this because it was less than the threshold. So I was literally at about $983 in total repair costs from them deeming it total.
That sounds like an opinion more than anything else, but that's a conversation for another day.
Yes. So I was mad. Like I was going back and forth with them. I was in arbitration. So the insurance company was trying their best to skirt liability, or they were, but no, this is gonna be on you. And so I never forget, I had gotten an invitation, but in the meantime, I was spending about $300 a week on a rental car on top of my car note.
Yeah.
Then on top, because then on top of that, having to get back and forth to work. So then they ran out of rental cars in Houston and then it took me 4 months to get my car back because due to COVID, you couldn't get parts in.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm having
I'm
to
following you.
I'm having to Uber. One way Uber to work is $30 to get back home. So I am bleeding dry. I
Mm-hmm.
have every savings I have dispensed. I mean, it's bad. And I never forget one night praying, and I said, and I've been an avid tither. I've been an avid giver, 10%. I didn't even think about it. Like it just automatically goes, right? And I remember sitting there and I was like, Lord, I can't give this right now because I need to live. I'm gonna ask you, Lord, I need you to open up a door. I'm gonna trust you. I'm gonna need for you to show me that you with me, right?
Yeah.
I get a call later that day inviting me to come preach at a place, or to not preach, but be a part of something in West Virginia. And I get there. The guy called. He said, "Yeah, it was gonna be about 3 or 4 weeks." He's a friend of mine, and I go and I buy my ticket by faith. I don't know. He's never talked to Gene. He hasn't said, "Hey, when you get here, I'm going to take care of this, that, and that." Only thing I know is a hotel is there for me. I don't know. This flight is not paid for. I have to pay for it. So by faith, I go and I do what I do there, and I get back, and the pastor texts me and says, "Hey, man, I love what you did there. Da 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 da. Grateful that you came. What's your address?" I was like, "Oh, okay." Sent it, I'm thinking like he just wants to send me like some tapes or something like that. I'm not even thinking of anything. He said, "Okay, I'm gonna thank you for providing. I want to bless you." I'm like, me? Like me? I'm back in Houston and I go to my mailbox, and no joke to you, Gene, I got a check that day that made my mouth drop. Literally a $10,000 check. Largest gift I had. And when I opened up the envelope, I was just going to the mail, wasn't even thinking about it, man. Had really forgot about the conversation. $10,000 check, and it was everything I needed to get me through that season and then some.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't fall behind on anything. But it came from, I believe that the Lord honored truly. He honored me saying, "All right, Lord, I'm gonna do what you tell me to do in this moment."
Yeah.
And I've just seen it. Like I do tell people this all the time. Don't fall for, because some people, manipulate that and say, "Well, God is a genie in a bottle. If you just rub here and you just pray real hard, it's gonna come money coming down." No, I just believe that God responds to faith and he
Absolutely.
responds to obedience. And at the end of the day, man,
Being
there,
humble. Being
there
humble. I mean, if you weren't in that position to be in that situation and then make the decision you made clearly, would you also receive that gift as you did and done responsible things with it? Is what we're trying to tie this whole thing together, right? You
yeah,
wouldn't have. You would have done something, whatever, this, that, and the other. But you got to that point. You had to pinch pennies. You have to do these different things to get there. Uber rides, whatever the case may be. That had you received that money another time, it might have not have been spent wisely either.
yep. And guess what I did, Gene? When I went, because I was like, whoa. So I went to go deposit it. Very first thing I did, I honored the Lord with my substance. I said, 10% of this, Lord, you get. And I mean, he gave the increase. I said, Lord, I'm going to honor you because I know this just had to be you. Like there's no, I'm not that good, Gene. Like it was the
But you're going to be
Lord.
rewarded with what you need, not what you want.
Yep.
Same thing with you guys doing so much with the Church of John as far as doing all the I can't form the word all of a sudden. But doing the donations, different things you were involved with, all these different things that took time and the money that you had, you didn't go too far, but you did what you needed to do, and you gotten enough, but not an exorbitant amount, but enough to make you to the next phase.
And it all comes down to stewardship. All of it is, Lord, let me handle what you give me with wisdom and with honor and with respect. Like, churches have to demonstrate that too. Like,
Yeah.
we are stewards of people's resources. We're not here to fatten the pockets of a few people. No,
No, not at
it's
all.
about seeing that in the community, seeing it in the lives of people. And that's what I
Absolutely.
love. I
And be
love.
here for the next generation.
Absolutely. Now, Gene, you about to open up a can because I know we got to go, but
No.
like when you look at ministry, and I'm gonna just drop this. When you look at ministry now, if you don't build for the next generation,
Yeah.
you will build monuments, and when you're dead and gone, leave nothing for those who come after you.
Yeah.
And be barely even a thought.
Yeah, it has to
Man.
be at the center of your plan. Like you're thinking, Jen, you got a 12-year-old daughter, right? Everything you do today is to make sure that when she is 30 years old, she's 40 years old, that the battles that you had to face, she won't have to fight.
Yeah.
No, but she needs to toughen up somehow. No.
Right. I understand that too. Like they need to
No,
go
but
through
you're right.
life.
No, but you're
Yeah.
right. You don't want them to have that. It's like, oh, you may have a little bit of struggle. Come on. No, but no, but
Yeah.
you're right. I know I'm joking about it. You're right 100%.
Yeah. Learn from that wisdom. Like, yeah.
Okay, man. We gonna wrap this up, but I got a few questions I want to ask to wrap this up. If you could give one piece of financial advice that everyone should act on today, what would it be?
I let Gene go.
I'm like, which direction should I go with this? Part of me wants to be financial. That's kind of their topic. They're supposed to be a topic. Educate yourself, man. Educate yourself, not just with one thing, with everything. If that's what it would be, I think it all encompasses everything. Whether it being how you spend your Sundays, your Wednesdays, any other times you gather, but also how you're going to make yourself personal growth, how you're going to make yourself better. If you're not going to make yourself better, nobody else is going to try to make yourself better unless they want something. So the only person who's going to have the most one out of anything is you and yourself. I don't know if I said that right, but you know I was going with that. But the thing is education. Education, not just stop at school, not stop at that. Always continue learning. If you don't learn, you die, right? That's the other saying. I mean, or you stunt your growth, whatever the case may be. But yeah, that's it. Educate yourself on all matters and be open minded.
Okay, Tyler, I got a different question for you.
Okay.
What's a book, podcast, or resource that has transformed your money mindset?
Believe it or not, it's one of my favorite books. It's literally you could sit down and read this in 30 minutes. But a pastor, a friend, mentor of mine recommended this book. He said that when he was in South Africa and Zimbabwe, he sold his Mercedes Benz for 5 books because at the time he was that desperate for wisdom. Going back to Gene, he was so desperate for education. And so one of the greatest books that I think you can ever, 2 of my favorites, is number 1, The Richest Man in Babylon. It's probably one of the greatest books. The imagery, the verbiage, is just incredible. And then of course I'm a stickler for this, but Rich Dad Poor Dad. I think it's a great mindset book. If I had to give anybody those 2, they're both easy reads. Read through Rich Dad Poor Dad about 2 or 3 times a year, just to continue to do that. And in podcasts, for me, I love Anthony O'Neill. I love Earn Your Leisure. I think they do a great job with that. His and Her Money is really good. And of course, I still to this day still listen to Dave Ramsey. So I love some of his core fundamentals. So you got to eat the meat, spit out the bones. So
Absolutely.
Very true.
Fellas, man, I have enjoyed this. I think I'm gonna bring y'all back.
Oh man,
Bro,
Yeah.
this was fun.
It wasn't
This
just
was
part
fun.
one. I said that one time, right? No.
Yeah, this was so much fun. I really want to thank you guys for just coming on and just having a pure conversation. I value you guys and your input. I value your background. I value you as men, first of all. But I also value who you are in the financial realm. I wouldn't have reached out to you guys if I didn't value you. But I thank you guys for even accepting the invitation to be a part of this. I just believe that the Lord has graced me to just be a tool for people. I don't think I have all the answers, but I do believe that the Lord has graced me to be a tool, just like I believe that the Lord has graced both of you to be a tool to the world to address the financial matters in our society. With that being said, before we close out, just tell the people how they can reach you to address some financial issues that they may be having in their life.
Go ahead, Kyle.
First, I think thank you so much, John. It's been such a pleasure. Gene, it's so good to meet you, man, and get it to chop it up. I look forward to working with you even on some other things, man. Let's collaborate, let's connect,
I
let's
got you
continue
down.
to advance, man. But yeah, you can reach me via Messenger, Instagram. You can do all of that. Email. You can email me via work email, which I think we'll provide in the comments there. So I'll make sure I get that to John so he can just drop it right there in the link, or right there in the description, so you can get in touch with me. But it's been a pleasure, man, and thank you so much, John. I appreciate it, man, and thank you. We value you. I know you said that you value us, man, but we equally value and appreciate you and what you're building, man. And so keep going, be encouraged. So many people are going to be helped and so many people are going to be changed because of this. So thank you guys so much.
Most
I
definitely.
have to agree with him. I can't wait to see what you have going on from here moving forward with everything you've got going on. With that new career, new all that. I mean, I know your heart's in it, and that's what the best thing is from the first time I met you. What, a little over a year ago, right? I mean, it hadn't been that long, but we kind of vibed right away. And with that, that just long/short period of time, just see where your heart is all the time, and wish that so many more people have that. But in the meantime, at least I was able to meet you that does have that character and that real, true, honest care. Again, I think it's going to be pretty awesome. Let's see what you're going to be doing in the future. But you can see me at teamgene.com, TEAMGENE.com, and also give me my email and put it down there as well. And shoot me an email, friend me on any kind of the social media. I'm always here for questions. I love questions because I don't know everything, like you said. And be like, good question. Let's both go find out and see what's going on. That's the only way we've learned all this through the years is getting asked those tough questions and hopefully making us better and smarter for the next people that have questions. But man, it was awesome. Thanks so much for having me. It was so great meeting you as well, Mr. Tyler. But yeah, I'm gonna hit you up after this. We got some things to talk about.
Well, everybody, that's it. That's a wrap. This is our first episode of the Rich Table. Look forward to seeing you guys soon.